I have a tickle in my throat.
Well, that's a great start to the Overrated Experience Sports Betting Podcast, episode 40, kicking it off with a cough. And I don't even have to introduce who's joined the show. Welcome back to the lady from upstairs. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay. Have you quit smoking, or is that still something that you partake in?
I think it's the wildfires. The smoke.
Yeah, that's what you smell smoke.
The air quality.
The air quality is not good. So the podcast, we may have to cut it short.
To my chest.
We may have to delay potentially or shut her down because of the forest fires that are happening in Halifax and Northern Ontario. They're obviously impacting other parts of North America, including Toronto. So hopefully the lady from upstairs is not as impacted where she can't do the show. Can you hang in there? Can you continue?
I'm composed.
You're composed?
Definitely
Good.
composed now.
She's definitely composed now. That's great. So what we do here is on the Overrated Experience Sports Betting Podcast is we talk about what it sounds like is sports betting. We talk about the big games. We talk about the latest news in sports. Some of the controversial topics we'll give our takes on. And we'll really dive in from a bettor's perspective on trying to learn to become better bettors, make some money. And obviously, safe betting is what we encourage. If you don't have the money, don't bet it. There's always a game tomorrow. Don't chase either. Also, if you want to follow this Overrated Experience Sports Betting Podcast, you can do so on Twitter at Overrated XPER2. I'm going to say it again. Overrated EXPER2. And also on Facebook at Overrated Experience Sports Betting. You can follow our page there and join us to check out our latest posts and latest picks, thoughts, polls, whatever you got. We're going to throw it in there. And any support is great. So I'd like to give a special shout out to those listeners week by week. Some from the Scarborough area, the Toronto area, the Durham region area. Always appreciate your support. And we get into the United States and those folks out of the Washington State area. Thank you for listening and spread the word. Let's grow this thing. So I appreciate your business. Ohio's and Missouri has been delving in some English and Finnish. Actually, Finnish. Folks have tuned in. So thank you very much. And our German folks have left us. Actually, the Germans have not listened in over the last few weeks. We do miss you. So please come back.
Oh, boo.
No boo. We want them back. You don't get
No,
boo
I
them?
mean boo. They left us.
Yes, they left us.
We want them back.
We want you back. Come on. So Bundesliga folks, come on back. Okay. So that's the Overrated Experience. That's what to expect. Please continue to listen. Make it a favorite on your Spotify or Apple Podcast or Castbox, whatever method you take to listen to this podcast. So thank you. A lot to talk about on episode 40 here at the Overrated Experience Sports Betting Podcast. We're going to dive into a big UFC 289 live from Vancouver Saturday night. Amanda Nunes puts on her bantamweight title, and we'll get to that in a minute. We'll get some picks there. Top two fights. Also, we have obviously the Stanley Cup final continuing. 2-1 is the series at the moment. Vegas still leads that. Florida did win Game 3. NBA Finals, even though it is still on, it looks like, it's the beginning of the end for the Miami Heat. 3-1 Denver. Denver goes into Miami, punches out both games in Miami on the road, heading back to Denver. Lady from upstairs, we'll dive more into the NBA, but is it over?
Not yet.
Do you really have faith? You don't think Denver's going to close it out?
I'm trying to think about what I bet last time, and I did say that. I think I did say that Miami was going to win one game, right? Okay. And I think Denver in 5. I said.
You did last week say Denver in 5 is one of your bets, but you also had when you were discussing. You had to plan out each of the games. Yeah. I think you had it in 5, but the only win that Miami would have was at home.
At home or, exactly.
Either 3 or 4. So
exactly.
You're not going to win that one.
No, I know.
You failed the audience with that pick, by the way.
I failed myself.
You failed yourself. First. That's true.
Sorry, guys.
Fair enough. So you still have hope or faith that Miami has a shot. You're not writing them off completely.
Well, I say that because they won the second game, but today, Denver won, so maybe I was right all along.
Like Miami is now going into Game 5, a 9.5 point underdog in Denver.
Yeah.
And the over-under is only 207.5. I got snake bitten tonight. I took the 211. It was the first quarter. Absolutely did not look like it was going to hit the over. Second quarter they started jacking up points. Third quarter they have like 53 or 54 points, whatever it was. And the fourth quarter it kind of just died off, and I didn't get the over. I did take Denver -3. I did not understand why that line was that low after what we've seen in Game 3 in Miami. So I took advantage of that. So that's what it's about. You got to take advantage of these.
Me too.
You did? What'd you take?
I did. Actually, I went on the Bet365 app today, and it was 3.5 when I took it, the spread. So I took that spread.
So I took it at 3. Yeah. I took it at 3, and I
was surprised about
again,
that. Yeah.
That's why you should have multiple betting sites, a couple betting sites so that you can grab the best line. So technically, you're also on FanDuel, right?
Yeah.
Technically, you probably should have checked that first before going to Bet365, right?
There's a story behind why I went on the Bet365
well, we have time for the story. Let's go for the story. Let's go to story time. Here we go.
It involves the children getting in my way trying to bet.
Whose children are these? Lady from upstairs, you have children?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, jeez. God. They're not going to be bugging us during the podcast?
No.
Okay.
They're in bed now.
This is the whole work from home thing. It's getting distracting, so we may have to send you back to the office. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Anywho, so we have the NBA Finals. When you look at Game 5 and you look at Miami as a +9.5, do you have any interest to take the Miami Heat to cover that spread or outright win Game 5 in Denver?
No.
No? What about the 9.5 points?
Sorry, repeat that again. The 9.5 what?
The Miami Heat are 9.5 point underdogs.
Oh, underdogs. Okay,
going into Denver for Game 5, which if Denver wins, they're NBA champions.
Yeah, maybe. Would you?
Well, this is a betting podcast where you kind of got to lean one way or another.
Okay,
so which way would you lean?
I'll say yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad we took a stance. I'm also going to say, I think Miami plays better on the road, and I think they'll put up more of a fight. I think Denver wins, but that 9.5 is absolutely intriguing to potentially take. I think there's value there. You just look at some of the numbers tonight in Game 4. Jokic, 37 minutes, 23 points, 12 rebounds, only 4 assists. He had a triple-double last game. Jamal Murray, 15 points, 3 rebounds, 12 assists. I mean, these guys are producing, not the level they did in Game 3, but really shut down the Heat. Tyler Hero, still not back. Don't know if he's going to make it back. There was thoughts he can be back, at some point during the series. If he's going to come back, they need him now. Maybe he'll have a surprise appearance in Game 5. Who knows? But that's the NBA story. Any other NBA thoughts that come to mind?
I think for myself, and that's why I was kind of hesitating on the answer, is I think for that one, I might do like an in-play bet and just kind of see. Maybe bet it in.
Well, when would you wait? So like you're talking about in-play. Does that mean I'm going to wait for a couple minutes into the game? I'm going to wait till halftime?
No, halftime. Yeah, halftime.
That's the sweet spot.
Yeah, that's my sweet spot. Yeah.
Okay. So Monday night, around 10 o'clock, maybe 9:30, halftime. That's when you're going to dig in and you're going to make a pick.
Yes, on a Monday night.
All right, on a Monday night. Yeah. So the lady from upstairs likes her live betting.
I do.
Well, whatever floats your boat. And before we get to our next topic, I was telling you we're going to talk about this. You recently opened a FanDuel account, and you have predominantly relied on Bet365. So now that you have 2 accounts, what do you like more or less about each of the sites?
What I like about FanDuel is the ease of putting the bets through. I found that with Bet365 was a little bit slow for some reason. Or it was always like, bet's not gone through, lines change. But I don't find that a lot from FanDuel. And I just find it's kind of easier to find things on FanDuel. And what else do I like about it? The whole, it's not looking for my location. I want to say today I used Bet365 for the basketball game, and it asked me again, or it said that it couldn't detect my location. So I constantly keep getting those every time I go onto the app, which is very annoying. But what I do like about the Bet365 app is that I can sort of follow the game, because you kind of have like a little preview, I guess you want to call it, of how the game is going. So I don't necessarily have to tune into the game, and I can just look at the app really quickly and kind of see what's happening. Whereas the FanDuel, I don't really see that. So that's really the only thing I think is the upside on the Bet365 app.
I gotta believe that everybody out there that does use Bet365 is listening to this podcast would absolutely share that agreement that Bet365 has the best in-game. You're gonna follow a basketball game and try. You got an over/under going. It's the fastest, most up-to-date. You're gonna follow Bet365 versus any other site to get the latest odds, the latest statistics. I know for soccer, I'm on FanDuel right now, and I don't even log into the Bet365. I go to Bet365 to get the quickest update and how many corners, shots on target, all those things, basketball, what the latest score is, what the estimated over/under is. Bet365, they crush everybody else when it comes to following along the game and getting the fastest updates you can possibly get. So I agree with that.
Yeah.
FanDuel's been very good as far as they're constantly evolving. They didn't have same game same game parlay when I started. Popular selection by many. Now they do. They have live same game parlay, which they didn't before. So I do respect the fact that they're constantly evolving. They are very good at being in local markets. So let's say like Toronto, they will be offering bet boosts based on local team action or local action. It's just smart marketing to the local audience. What I did notice, it's funny because in the past it was never really a problem, was once you leave the country, and I did for a couple days, the location piece is important because you will not be able to bet. I'm from Ontario. Once you leave Ontario, forget it. You can't bet. The only other experience I've ever had that experience was in Vegas. Vegas does the same thing, right? They lock you out. You couldn't use Bet365 or FanDuel in Vegas. You'd have to use one of their sports books locally, and that's been adopted since April of last year into Ontario. So it's just interesting that you only have so much control now. The government's obviously influential and have the rules, and these sites have to stick to them. So interesting experience to say the least. So we delved into the NBA action, but what I want to do before we get to the rest of these sports actions, some of the latest news in sports that is around the water cooler. Have you ever had a conversation around the water cooler?
Yeah. Before COVID. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so water cooler conversation, including, and I'll get to the bigger one I want to talk about in a second, but Lionel Messi, PSG World Cup champion, has announced that he's not going to go to Saudi Arabia and follow the footsteps of Cristiano Ronaldo and Karim Benzema. And Conte now moving from Chelsea to the same team that Benzema is on for hundreds of millions of dollars. He's decided to take his talents from PSG and go to MLS, Inter Milan. And do you know who, lady from upstairs, do you know who runs Inter Milan?
No, I don't think I do.
I'm saying Inter Milan, but I meant Inter Miami. Sorry. Do you know who runs Inter Miami?
No.
You don't know?
No.
Take a guess. Bend it like...
Beckham, really?
Yes.
Really?
So David Beckham, he runs...
Okay.
And he had that similar story where he came to the LA Galaxy from, I think, at Real Madrid at the time. I can't remember who he was when he left, but, big contract, and I think Messi's following in his footsteps. I'm interested in what the goal is here because I don't know what Messi has to play for. He has nothing to play for. He could have made hundreds of millions of dollars by going to Saudi Arabia, decided to go to Inter Miami. I have to believe that there's an ownership stake involved here and the ability to move his family to Miami and live the lifestyle of a Floridian and a tax haven, because you don't pay any state taxes in Florida, which is very, very appetizing to athletes that want to play in the Miamis and Orlandos and all those places.
Interesting.
Is it interesting? Yes.
Let's move to Miami.
Like, how about, well, it's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
And so that's one of the big stories there. Biggest player, biggest name in sports. Lionel Messi is the biggest name in sport on the planet. We're not talking about a superstar athlete. It's amongst other peers. He is a far and beyond everybody across the planet. He's the most famous, maybe, person on the planet. Would you agree with that?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. You add that World Cup on, there's no stopping him. His marketability right now is absolutely huge, absolutely huge. It always has been, but it's taken another level after that World Cup win. So interesting. And I showed you a video of the $60 million facility that Inter Miami has opened, a training facility.
Yeah.
How impressive was that? Yeah.
That was nice.
I'm just thinking, when you're off the pitch, you're walking around, you're getting training done, taking a cold plunge or whatever it is, and everything you could possibly want is right there at your fingertips, attractive to any athlete in the world. So they're doing it right, Inter Miami, and people are sleeping on the MLS. It's always like a running joke that the quality of football is not at the level where obviously the English leagues are. You're right. It's not there yet. But just like how it's happened in the NHL, where the NHL, if you thought of hockey, you think of Canadians. You think of Russians. You think of Europeans playing hockey. But the United States in the next few years, which maybe I'm already behind on what I'm saying, because the talent is being pumped out of middle-class America and or across the Ohios, the Texas, and the Nevadas, and the Arizonas now that were never there before. Once the Americans sink their teeth into a sport and they start throwing bodies at it that people are growing up playing, watch out. I don't think the MLS is going to be that laughable in the next 10 years. You watch their collegiate programs and the training and the high-tech, ability to train, and it's going to supersede what you find in Europe in a quick amount of time, quicker than you think. And if they're not creating the best players in the world in a short period of time, the best players are going to be bought into Saudi Arabia, because it looks like they have an appetite to actually start, filtering their league with name players and superstars. So watch out, because there's going to be a challenge to the Europeans as far as money and transfer dollars to the name players. And speaking of Saudi Arabia, top story this week. I'm on the road, walk into a highway, drop in, en route, whatever it is, to go grab something to eat, and see on the TV that PGA LIV and the European Tour and the DP Tour have combined and have dropped all legal action that they've had against each other. And that is a holy shit moment. What the fuck did I just see? Right? What? How the fuck does that make sense? And I think appropriately swearing is appropriate in this situation. So for those who are not necessarily following the golf world, so the PGA Tour is the standard. Is the standard bearer. That's where the best golfers in the world play. That's the best tour in the world. And then comes along the Saudi Arabia folks that decide to invest and create the LIV Golf Tour. So what the LIV Golf Tour is considered another golf tour. Mm-hmm. That the advantage of this tour for anybody playing on the tour is that they have fewer events. They do a lot of team events. So if you watch a LIV Golf Tour event, there are teams competing against each other versus just individuals that you'd find on the PGA Tour. What the LIV Golf Tour also did was they brought in Greg Norman, former, obviously, superstar golfer, best known for blowing and choking in the Masters and losing to Nick Faldo. But, at the end of the day, Greg Norman was a great golfer. And he was recruiting top talent with upfront money, meaning that your money didn't have to be made by winning or losing. It was, I'm going to bring you aboard, Brooks Koepka. I'm going to sign you, Bryson DeChambeau. I'm going to sign you, Cameron Smith. And here is $100 million, $200 million, or Dustin Johnson. I can't forget him. Here's, $300 million, and just put it and tuck it in your bank account right now. Put it in your pocket right now. And slowly but surely, some of the golf's biggest names, including Phil Mickelson, which is was the first, moved over to the LIV Golf Tour and left the PGA, which caused a huge uproar that the PGA was like, what? Hey, I'm Phil Threatin. If you leave the PGA Tour, you're never going to come back. And like a lot of conflict between the two groups, and even to the point where there's lawsuits and, the players from the LIV Tour that joined these lawsuits saying that the PGA was in the wrong by not allowing them to compete on PGA Tour events. Since that has happened, those folks have also been able to play in the majors. So, Brooks Koepka, who just won the PGA Championship, is a LIV golfer, and he had a good run at the Masters. There's been a lot of conflict, a lot of thought that, basically the players that have left the PGA Tour were enemies of the PGA Tour. The PGA Tour had Rory McIlroy, even Tiger Woods, and a few other guys, asking them, don't take that money. Don't go to the LIV Tour. Support the greater good of the PGA Tour. And, it was us against them. And like I said, on Wednesday, when I see that, the lawsuits that were going back and forth between the two groups have been dropped, and they jointly announce, well, here's the funny part, is that the initial statement said it was a merger, and then it was then changed quickly to a partnership. So even the wording on how they announced it. But at the end of the day, the LIV Tour is going to fall under the PGA Golf Tour. Monahan, the commissioner of the PGA, will oversee this consortium of groups. But interesting part, and I'm going back to a story on Twitter. Let me just give you, that was the Inter Miami stuff. Just 1 second here. So we have, again, Joe Pompliano, which has actually been a great resource that I've used here on the podcast. I had a Twitter story of just talking about Yasser Al-Rumayyan has been named chairman of the newly created PGA/LIV Golf entity. And here's some breakdown. He's the same guy as the governor of Saudi's $620 billion investment fund. He is chairman of oil giant Saudi Aramco, chairman of the EPL's Newcastle United, which is the team they own, board member of Uber and SoftBank, and right-hand man to Crown Prince MBS. So this guy's got some power, right? He's got some power.
Lord.
Now, also, essentially Saudi... Now, even though Monahan remains as the guy leading the golf entity beyond the PGA Tour, the Saudi Arabian folks are now basically in control of the golf world. Right? They that's behind the scenes. So where I'm going with this is that I guess money talks, right? Like I would love to have seen what those negotiations look like. I feel that there was a suitcase with money here. What name your number? Like how do we make this happen? I want in the PGA. The LIV Tour was there for the purpose of me eventually having this conversation that we are going to basically own the PGA Tour. We're going to have a foothold in America. Like, there's a lot to unravel here.
Yeah.
And I know that you had done a little reading on this, and
yeah.
Any thoughts that come to mind on the story?
I think it's a really smart move. Very strategic. Yeah, like, why not, right? It was surprising, but I think it was a very strategic move. So there's definitely a lot of thought behind that. Even though it was a surprise to all of us, it was definitely a big strategic move on her part. Yeah.
Look, from a strategic move, you have, the groups together. It's obviously we can make a monster load of money.
Yeah.
If we kind of join forces, think bigger. We don't know what is the future. Like, what is this? What is this partnership / merger mean? Does it mean more events in the Middle East? Does it mean that the PGA will go to Australia where the LIV Tour is? Like, what does it mean? Does it mean that the LIV Golf Tour will dissolve? Will it, like, you know what I mean? Like, will it mean that these players will come back to the PGA Tour? One of the outstanding questions was, there was a group of players that took the money and pocketed hundreds of millions of dollars. And there's players like Rory McIlroy who did not. Like, what do you think? And one of the stories here is that somehow the players that did not take the money are somehow going to have an equity in this new group. Like like stocks, like ownership of somewhat. Mm-hmm. I don't know how valuable that is. And maybe it makes up for, not taking the $200 million.
I bet it is, yeah.
What would you feel? Okay, what would you feel like if somebody sold you, the same guy that sold you that, don't go, stick with us. We're going to make this is, these guys are evil. We're doing the right thing. This is what golf is all about. And then that same guy turns out to sign a deal and be involved to have a combination that includes the LIV Tour, where you'd said no to $200 million. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly you're joining forces with that group that you said no to.
Yeah.
What would be your first thought in your mind?
Damn it.
Really, damn it?
Damn it.
What would really be your thought in your mind?
Well, I think they probably regretted it maybe a little bit. I
think a little bit. I think it's like, holy shit. I got scammed.
Maybe that's what they did.
I got scammed.
A lot.
Right?
Yeah.
And this asshole, Monahan,
yeah,
he should have taken whatever envelope he got with whatever money. That's probably like fuck you money, pretty much.
Yeah.
And he should have put it in his pocket and walk away.
Yeah.
There's no way that he should show face and still run this thing. That's unacceptable. I just watched an interview where he was trying to compare. Somebody has we were talking about how potentially there's conflict with joining the LIV Tour and September 11th and the alleged Saudi involvement in that group. I'm just talking about what I heard, right? I'm just talking about what the context of the question being asked to Mr. Monahan. And his statement back was, well, if you play on the PGA Tour, you don't have to feel guilty about where you go, where you play. And that was a shot at, if you join the LIV Tour, like, where's that money coming from and who's paying it for what happened? So that comment tells me that, it just took a price for him to get, I just changed, hey, let's shake hands. I'm going to make a comment like that, and then suddenly backtrack and sign a deal where now I am in bed with you. That's the part that I think irks a lot of people a lot. A lot of the rhetoric, a lot of the things that came out of this and the build up to this just really makes people sick.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that I don't know. It's a sour taste in your mouth that economically, business-wise, you could say that, like you just did, that it makes strategic sense. Right? We can crush the golf world, maximize revenue, but the way they got to the dance and the way they led up to it, I think it's just a very bad look, and just kind of immoral the way it got together. Versus, it's easy to understand why a deal like this was put together.
Yeah.
So a lot more to evolve here, but it's just ugly. It's just ugly.
And there's not much that they're saying. Like, you read the articles, and there's not really a lot of information, right? Like, other than, oh, it was good. It's good. We're building partnerships and blah blah blah. But it's just really not much more. So I'm sure we'll hear a lot more in the coming days.
Well, I was just reading an article on ESPN, and they're talking about various different subjects, such as comments from like Bryson DeChambeau. Like, I feel sorry for those guys that didn't take the money, and basically, let me laugh as I tell you that you dumb shit. Like, you should have taken the money. But there was a comment that if the LIV Tour dissolves and these guys come back into the PGA fold, that these players may face suspension or punishment. I collected $300 million, but I may be suspended or punished because I left the PGA Tour or tried to recruit other guys to come into the LIV Tour. However, you just made a deal with the LIV Tour to join you as a partner. Who do you think was in their ear to say, hey, why don't you call so-and-so and tell them that we got $200 million in a briefcase right now for this guy to come with you, and now you're going to punish this guy and you're partnering with the other group? How ridiculous is that? It's just ridiculous. Okay, so it looks like we're done with that conversation. Anything else to add to that?
I need a refill.
I was going to say that we do need a refill. That's kind of what's jumping to that. Do you mind refilling me up, lady from upstairs?
Sure.
Thank you very much. I'll transition if you're okay while you do that.
Of course.
Do you hear that?
Yeah, go for it.
By the way, we're not doing this podcast in a bathroom. Nobody's taking a leak right now. All right, hold on.
It's our
Hold on.
fancy wine box.
It's our wine box. It's the wine box. Okay. All right. Thank you. So I have to keep the fuel going. Liquid courage. All right. So that's the story right there, and big day tomorrow. Huge day for you soccer fans out there. It's the Champions League final. Right? This is if you're unfamiliar with what the Champions League is, how do you explain it the best? But the top tier teams at each of the European countries' domestic leagues have an in-season tournament that determines the champion of Europe. And so, for example, the top 4 teams in England advance to the Champions League the following year, and there's significant financial benefits to being a Champions League team. A lot of the transfers that teams make, meaning when I mean transfers, basically acquiring players. Players will want to direct, the top tier players at least, want to direct their attention to teams that are playing in the Champions League. So if somebody is going to be transferred, they may say, hey, they're not in the Champions League. I only want to go to a Champions League team. So there's definitely a big benefit to being in the Champions League. And Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Manchester City takes on Inter Milan live from Turkey at 3 p.m., as I stated. Heavy favorite, Manchester City, for the 90 minutes. So let's be clear here. As you walk in to this game, understanding the context of what you need to know is similar to a World Cup matchup. This game could go to extra time. It could go to a shootout. Sorry, penalty kicks. I'm not going to say shootout, penalty kicks. So there is 2 different bets you want to pay attention to. That is either the 90 minutes, meaning that if it's 1-1, you should pick the draw, even though that Man City or Inter wins the game, maybe in extra time or penalty kicks. There is one bet for 90 minutes like you would in a regular season game, and or there's a bet to say who's going to lift the trophy. So that's something that you want to make sure you understand the difference. But I think this is great. My thoughts here are that Man City is an overwhelming favorite. All right, if there's obviously the money line You look at 220 minus 220 for Man City. Inter heavy underdog to outright win in the 90 minutes plus 550. To lift the cup, to lift the trophy as European champions. Man City is minus 430. Inter Milan is plus 340. I just can't see Man City losing this game. Now in sports, I think the whole concept of an absolute lock is absolutely gone. Come on, there's upsets all over the place. But if there is, so I'm speaking from the context of this is as close as a lock you're possibly going to get. But, anything can happen. Man City should absolutely dummy Inter Milan. Like, Inter Milan shouldn't even be here, to be honest. I mean, Man City had to go through Real Madrid, and Inter Milan had to go through AC Milan. That's a terrible, terrible draw. It should be a Man City Real Madrid final, but we got this Inter Milan getting the easy road to get here, and that's truth. I'm not telling you my thought. I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you what's the reality, because it's a joke. And this Man City lost a few years back to Chelsea, and that was their time when they should have beat Chelsea to win, but Tuchel and Chelsea defensively were just like absolutely amazing and shut them down. And what Man City did this year is they brought in Erling Haaland, who is absolutely the premier player of the year. He is the most dominant player in European football at the moment, and I think this is their year. This is it. And my bets are going to be based on Man City probably smacking Inter Milan around a little bit. Okay, here we go. So for your Champions League picks here, I will say some great value. The over-under is only minus 128 of 2.5. And if you think, and that Man City is the play here, and they're going to lift the trophy, I don't think they're going to stick around and, score a goal and try to, eke out, through 90 minutes. I think they know that their job is to smash without question and make sure there's no sweating in the second half. Take total control, not just one, but maybe they run up the score and go crazy. So I'm on the side where Man City is going to win this game, and I think their philosophy is I'm going to smash this team. We're going to press. We're going to score goals. We're not going to fuck around. We're going to end this quick. We're going to step on their throat, and we're going to make Inter Milan chase, and then we'll counterattack when we're already up 2-0. So here's some of the thoughts I have. I'm going to put a wager on the 2.5. I was thinking about the 3.5, but let's start the minus 128 in a game like this. 2.5. I think Man City at least 3 goals. But I do also think that both teams can score. Would you be surprised if, whether it be Inter Milan taking an early lead or just scoring a cheap one late in the second half? So that's only minus 110. So both teams to score, to me, is also a value pick. Same game parlay. Good value here. 1.5 over 1.5 for 2 goals. 8 or more shots on target. And over 8.5 corner kicks. Actually, I think it's 7.5 corner kicks. I think I wrote that down wrong. But $100 will win you $132. I think there's value there. At least 2 goals for sure. And come on. Erling Haaland, minus 135. Anytime goal scorer. He's going to run the... He is the guy. Like, don't be surprised if he doesn't get a hat trick. He's 3 goals. He's going to destroy Inter Milan. They have never seen a team like Man City at this point. They'll get absolutely crushed. Lady from upstairs, any thoughts on the Champions League? I know that you didn't look at it necessarily, but I don't know if you did or not. But
very, very briefly, I think I'd probably throw one of those scores. I don't know if Inter Milan is going to score at all.
You don't think so?
No, I don't know. I don't get the feeling, but I think it's going to end like 3-0 or something. 3-0, sorry.
3-0.
3-0.
3-0. There you go.
3-0.
Very good. 3-0.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I might throw some money on that just to try my luck.
So you're going to go against me?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so both teams score, you're going to say no.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just my gamble. I'm going to say my gamble.
Okay, so I said, right now it's minus 108, so it's even better than minus 110. Minus 118 is both teams to score no. So actually the odds favor what you're thinking, that Man City probably wins without Inter Milan scoring. Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. So we don't have to agree all the time, right?
We don't either.
No, that's right. Okay, so that's the Champions League story. Now, going forward, always fun to have a pay-per-view UFC 289 live from Vancouver. What country is that again?
Canada.
Canada? Oh, this country. Okay. So we have two big fights. Probably a lot more fights, but I mean, we're really going to focus on two. Bantamweight champion Amanda Nunes. She's the heavy favorite over Irene Aldana. So Amanda Nunes is a minus 340 to win the fight. Irene Aldana is plus 260. Did you have a chance to look at this at all?
Very briefly, yeah.
Okay, very briefly. What are your opening thoughts on this? And I know that as the pay-per-view comes on tomorrow, you will be on there looking to make a bet, but let's talk about what you think now.
Nunes is pretty strong, right? So it's tough. I'd probably go with her. Straight at win.
So you're gonna bet $340 to 100?
I know. I just think it's not the greatest bet, but because the odds, but I still think she'll beat her. But I was looking at this at the. I was looking also at the. Sorry, what do you call it? The other. What's the other girl's name? Sorry.
Irene Aldana.
Yeah, I was looking at her stats, and I guess that's just a chance, right? You never know. But
well, what I'm to understand doing a little bit of research is Irene Aldana is a boxer.
Yeah.
So she's good with her hands, but really maybe limited to just boxing.
Yeah.
So that's where if Amanda Nunes takes her to the ground and pound,
she will try.
Right.
Very early. Yeah.
So I don't know if she's a well-rounded enough fighter to take out somebody at the caliber of Amanda Nunes. So
Nunes.
Nunes. One, because she's Brazilian, it's Portuguese. Is that the same?
Nunes, yeah.
Nunes, okay.
I still pronounce the name yet.
That's why I have you on the show, just in case the pronunciation when I go into these fights. You can correct me. So Nunes.
Yeah.
Amanda Nunes, my bet would be that Amanda Nunes wins by submission at plus 470. Now, I mean, there's a chance you can knock her out.
Yeah.
I think Nunes is going to win the fight. But I think she takes her to the ground. Are you yawning in the podcast?
No. I'm laughing because every time I've taken a bet like that, I always lose.
Okay.
It's just I find it's very unpredictable to bet a UFC fight.
And I just
very
think
much.
that if you have one side of the fight that's trying to punch and box, and the other person knows that they have a superior ground game. Here's the thing though: is as Nunes gets on top of her, does she just beat the shit out of her on top, or does she put a rear naked choke in or a triangle and choke her out? So plus 470, I think there's value there.
Yeah.
And I don't think this fight lasts long. So I look at it as under 2.5 rounds. So one key thing to hear on FanDuel is that so if they're in the second round, it's over 2.5 if it goes past the 230 mark.
Okay.
So if she chokes her out, let's say at 231 of the third round, I would lose. But if she chokes her at the 229 of the third round round, I win because I'm under 2.5. So it's an important note to know when or what determines a win.
It's a pretty good one.
Yes, so that's the fight. Any other thoughts on that main event? It's 5 rounds.
Yeah, I honestly I don't think it's gonna go 5 rounds for sure.
Okay.
For sure. Faux show.
The other big fight, probably the better fight, probably the more interesting fight is Charles Oliveira, who lost his belt last fight, and against Manel, I'm going to screw this up, Darush. And right now, Charles Oliveira is an underdog. And I'm surprised at that. Darush's, last 3 fights have gone to decisions. Oliveira lost his last fight, but he's been pretty dominant the rest of the way. And, he's got a spectacular ground game. So he's ridiculous at jiu-jitsu, submissions. And I plus 124, I do like to take him in that bet. But any thoughts on this so far? Did you look at that fight at all?
No, I didn't. Not that one at all. But I'm looking up his name because I think his name, there's a pronunciation with that
come
one.
on. You're gonna correct my pronunciation?
I keep thinking about Ketchuk.
Oh, Ketchuk. Oh, because you want to come back at me, right? You want to make me be the person that can't announce the name or pronounce the name correctly. Okay, okay. So that's the spelling of his name right here.
No, I see the spelling. I have it, but it's.
Oh, you don't know the spell or the pronunciation?
No, I'm interested about the pronunciation. It's fault because I do know someone with that name, but like a first name, and it was pronounced a little bit different. So.
Okay, Dora. How about you teach me more Spanish, Dora? All right. Anyway. So that I also look at that fight. Will the fight go to? I don't think it's going to go the distance. It's only a 3-round fight. I think the odds of it plus 196 that it may go the distance. So I think there's value there. Big night in Vancouver. Some other fights in the card. I'm sure we'll be betting, but we'll just stick to the top 2 fights. NHL action. The Vegas Golden Knights hold a 2-1 series lead over the Florida Panthers. However, the Florida Panthers did come back, win 3-2 in overtime last night, and we do have a series. We have a series that's going to remain in Florida for Game 4, Saturday night, 8:20. The Florida Panthers are a slight favorite. You said you had a chance to watch Game 3, or at least the overtime. Any thoughts on this? You had quite a few thoughts last week before the series started. What's on your mind right now?
No, I still think that Florida is. They want to win it, right? And they're fighting. So I really thought that Vegas had that game, but didn't work out that way. They're fighting back.
Yeah, Vegas.
I knew that.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I knew that. I knew that they would fight back. I think my prediction was that they would go to Game 7. Right? I still believe that they will go to Game 7.
They could. I mean, it's 2-1 now. Florida's got another game at home.
Yeah. The
series looks as the odds on, if you took Vegas, you'd have to bet $270 to win 100. Florida is plus 230. I think that's a little too much.
Still
I think
early a little bit, I think.
That's value on Florida, I think. Florida could have put them away yesterday, but they didn't. Florida. That's how Florida plays. They eke by. Bobrovsky looked a lot better than he did in Game 2.
Yeah.
Florida's not out of this by any means.
No.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're still thinking there's a shot with Florida.
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay. I'm trying to think. Let's see. The Game 4 tomorrow. We're looking at. Hold on 1 second here. NHL action. What is going on here? I want just the game for tomorrow. NHL. Well, FanDuel, I'm clicking on... Oh, it's frozen.
Oh, it's frozen.
Wow, it is frozen here. I gotta go to the phone. Please hold. Can you sing while I have a quick search on this?
The love.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Okay.
Honestly, the audience may not even be old enough to know what that is.
I know.
Okay. All right. So Vegas right now going into Game 4 is an underdog. Florida is the minus 118. I think I mentioned this, but the over/under. I took the over yesterday. Didn't get it. It was 1-1 after one period of play, and it kind of died out from there. So the over/under is 5.5 minus 122. The under is at plus 100, so the odds are that it's supposed to go 6 or more goals. Where do you stand on tomorrow's game?
Under.
Do you really buy that?
Yeah.
Like, I sat there yesterday and I'm thinking, I can't invest 3 hours of my time to bet the under. That's a flaw, by the way, as a bettor. That's a flaw. But
So, okay, I'll tell you a little story behind that. I didn't actually get to bet that earlier on in the night.
right.
But when I saw it, and I knew that you had the over, right? So it was really hard for me to take the under. So I decided to wait to do an in-play. And I did it. I did an in-play bet, but I still felt like it was almost wrong to go against you. So I ended up at that time taking the over, whatever it was at. I think it might have been, I can't remember. But from the very beginning, I thought it was going to be under. And I probably should have gone with my gut, my initial gut.
You got to go with it. Don't hesitate.
Yeah. There's just some things that I just know, like I think, I was thinking of the last game, and I know I went over, but I probably should have gone with my gut for sure. Yeah.
And how did that go? You didn't go with your gut? It means you didn't make any money, right?
No, I didn't make any money. I lost too.
You lost. And what hurts is the game ended 3-2, and the Vegas Golden Knights had 6 power plays, and Florida was 0 for 5 on their power play. So it's not like they didn't have any chances. It's just like they're just trying to swing it to the point and try to get somebody in front of the net. There's not much that they're doing to really generate scoring opportunities. And if we look back on last week's podcast, one of the bets you went through was the series total goals, and you took it at over 33.5 or under?
I did under.
Oh my god! I was looking at you like, oh my god, you took the over, and I couldn't remember what you took.
Yeah, I took the under.
Because right now, okay, let's just go through each game. You tell me what you feel about it. So game 1, 5-2.
Yeah.
Game 2, 7-2. Game 3, 3-2. So right now, if you want to bet the over/under in series total goals, what do you think it is right now?
50?
50? Come on. Like 39.5.
Ah, okay.
So
of course.
Right now, you might as well not expect that cash out. Oh.
What if you get really 1-0 games?
Maybe. Well, let's add up the 3 games right now. So are you ready to do math?
No, not when I've had this amount of wine.
Okay, what's 5 plus 2?
7.
Very good. What is 7 plus 2?
9.
So what's 9 plus 7?
16.
Okay, and then what's 16 plus 5?
21.
Okay, so right now you're at 21 goals.
Ooh.
And you're 33.5. You really need those 1-0 games. You do. You absolutely do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we got a series. We'll see what happens here. But the NHL is going. I think the NBA series is pretty much over. NHL is still up for grabs. Now, what we're going to do here is, because we talked about baseball and trying to, dive into the dog days of summer where it's pretty much baseball, right? And I don't know where I'm necessarily aiming my efforts in here in baseball. I don't know why this is frozen per se, but let's see. All right, so have you been watching any baseball?
I'll be honest with you, no.
You think you'll pick up now that basically basketball season is on the end of the season here and it's pretty much over?
Yeah.
Do you think you'll pick up your baseball watching more?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, and is it like basketball where it's kind of late night live game betting?
Yeah, I actually like to bet with the baseball games. I like to bet around the 6th inning.
Around the 6th inning?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sometimes 7, yeah.
Sometimes 7. Okay, so what we're going to do, and I hope you did a little research here, we're going to do a couple games each, and we're going to record them, and We'll see how well we do. And we're either going to pick a winner or we're going to pick an over-under.
Okay.
And so why don't you pick, we're going to go 3 games each, and we'll see who winds up with a better record, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So, here we go. One moment. Okay. So, did you have 3 games that you stood out to?
Yeah.
You do?
I do.
Okay. I got the pen and paper. Let's start with game number 1.
Diamondbacks and the Tigers.
Okay, that's a 1:11 p.m. start tomorrow.
Yeah.
Is that because it was the first game, that's why you picked it?
No. I mean, I think I like the over on that one.
You like the over 8.5?
And I like, well, the teams, yeah. So I think it's going to be over 8.5.
What made you think that? What drew you to it? It's minus 124.
I know sometimes the Tigers can be low scoring, right? But with the Diamondbacks, I don't know. I think it's just a good matchup. But I know Detroit is I know the Diamondbacks are the favorite. So I think because they are the favorite, I think it'll be over.
Okay, and then game 2.
I'm gonna the Kansas City, the Royals and the Orioles, and I'm actually gonna go with the under 9.
Under? You're gonna bet an under?
Yeah, I am.
That's strange. Okay, hold on.
I don't mind doing unders.
Okay, so
Yeah, and that's a 406 game.
406 Orioles and Royals. Sorry, you said Orioles and Royals?
Yeah, I know.
Under?
That's
that's like
that's a mouthful. Yeah.
you're picking such obscure games, but hey, who cares? It's about the value. It's about the money.
I'm obscure.
You're obscure. Okay. Under 9.
Yeah.
Minus 105.
Mm-hmm.
All right, game 3.
Game 3. I'm gonna do the Rangers and Rays. It's a 4:11 game.
Yeah. This is a dramatic pause.
Yeah, it is because I'm looking at the odds and the over 8 is minus 115 and the under is 105.
Yes.
But I think I'm actually gonna do the over.
Over on Texas in Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, over 8. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we have, as a recap, Jessica. Sorry. I don't know who that is.
Who? Excuse me.
Oh, sorry.
What?
I'm sorry. The lady from upstairs is taking the over in the Arizona Diamondbacks Detroit Tigers game, the early game, 8:05 over, 8:05 over, 8.5 over. She's also taking the Kansas City Royals in Baltimore under 9 minus 105. Texas. You
I
said
said under, right?
yes.
It's minus 115.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you
I'm
looking
looking
at
at it
FanDuel?
right now. Yeah, I'm looking at FanDuel right now.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna double check right now. I want to
You
validate.
don't
I'm gonna
trust,
no, I
you
don't trust
me?
The under is minus 115, like you said. Never mind. You've gained trust again. And then finally, you've taken Texas and Tampa Bay over 8 minus 115. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
All right. So for me, to compete against you, I'm going to take 3 separate bets. My first bet is going to be over in the 2:16 first pitch, Cincinnati Reds, St. Louis Cardinals, over 8.5.
Okay.
Okay, you're happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Second game is going to be the Milwaukee Brewers and the Oakland A's. Do you know what a run line is?
No, actually, I don't.
What did you say it like that for?
Because I've actually wondered.
Okay. So
I wanted to make it very dramatic.
So basically it's like a spread, right? Okay, so for my bet, Milwaukee has to beat Oakland, but they have to beat them by 2 or more.
Okay.
Okay, so that's my bet. Okay, minus run. It's called the run line. Okay.
Okay.
And then my final bet Are you ready for this? Are you ready?
Why is it so dramatic?
It's very dramatic. I will take.
Still waiting.
I am going to take the Philadelphia Phillies. Did you just drink something? Or just, I heard
It's my saliva.
Wow, I can't believe you said that on the podcast. I will take the Philadelphia Phillies straight up at minus 108 to beat the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Okay.
Philly, minus 108. Done. So we have our picks. We're in. We've covered baseball, hockey, basketball. We've covered Champions League. And we've covered stories around the world involving various different sports. Do you have any final thoughts?
No. No final thoughts for me. I'm good.
Okay, well, I got to add value there at the end. That's great. All right, so that's it for the Overrated Sports Betting Podcast. And I missed the name. So the Overrated Experience Sports Betting Podcast. And the pleasure was all yours. And we're over and we are out. Bye-bye.